Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Avenues to Wellness podcast. I am Tamara Fidler, a board-certified health coach and the host of the show. On Avenues to Wellness, we discuss everything surrounding wellness, from yoga to habit change, disease prevention, and the latest nutrition research. We tackle tough topics, and you will find inspiration to stay on your path to a healthier future. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm diving into a topic that several of you have requested. It's something that's been a key part of public health discussions for many years, but recently it's stirred up some debate: the body mass index, or BMI. In this episode, we'll explore the history of BMI, why it doesn't always accurately predict health risks, and what other methods we might consider for getting a clearer picture of our overall health. Let's get started. So let's start with a bit of history. BMI, or body mass index, was developed nearly 200 years ago by a Belgian statistician named Adolphe Quetelet. In the early 1830s, Quetelet was working on what he called social physics, which was the start to modern-day statistics and sociology. At that time, he was interested in understanding the physical characteristics of the average man, and through his research, he came up with a formula to relate an individual's weight to their height. And this formula was simple. Divide a person's weight in kilograms by the square of their height in meters. The result, which we now call BMI, was originally termed the Quetelet Index, and it wasn't until the mid-20th century that the term body mass index became more widely used, when it began to be used customarily as a useful tool for comparing populations in epidemiological studies. Now, here's the key point in why I'm sharing a little bit about the history. BMI was never intended to be a diagnostic tool for individual health. It was designed to assess the average body weight of populations. However, over time, it has been adopted by healthcare professionals and organizations worldwide as a quick and easy way to screen for potential health risks, particularly those associated with being underweight, overweight, or obese. But as with many tools that are used broadly, BMI has its limitations. Let's talk about why BMI doesn't always predict illness accurately. First, BMI doesn't differentiate between muscle and fat. So this is a significant flaw because muscle is denser than fat. So someone who is very muscular, like an athlete, might have a high BMI, classifying them as overweight or even obese, despite having a low body fat number and being in excellent health. But on the other hand, someone with a normal or low BMI might have a higher percentage of body fat, particularly visceral fat around the organs, which is associated with higher health risks. Another issue is that BMI doesn't account for fat distribution, and research has shown that where fat is stored on the body matters a lot when it comes to health risks. For instance, fat around the abdomen, which is what we often call belly fat, is more strongly associated with health problems like heart disease and diabetes than fat stored in other areas like the hips or the thighs. Yet BMI treats all body fat as equal. BMI also doesn't consider factors like age, gender, or ethnicity, all of which can influence body composition and health risks. For example, older adults often have more body fat than younger people at the same BMI. Also, women typically have more body fat than men. And different ethnic groups have different health risk profiles at various BMI levels. This means that at a BMI of 25, which is considered the threshold for being overweight, this might not carry the same risk for everyone. So given these limitations, many experts now argue that we should be looking beyond BMI when assessing health. So what are some alternatives or complementary measures we could consider? And I just want to note, this is not, what I'm going to talk about today is not a complete list. It's just some additional measures that we could consider, and it's not a comprehensive list. One option is the waist-to-hip ratio, which measures the circumference of your waist compared to your hips. This ratio can help determine fat distribution. A higher waist-to-hip ratio indicates more abdominal fat, which is associated with a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. Another useful measure is waist circumference alone. So this is a simple measurement that can provide insight into your risk of health issues related to abdominal obesity. For example, a waist circumference of more than 35 inches for women and more than 40 inches for men is associated with a higher risk of heart disease and other conditions. Body fat percentage is also a more direct measure of body composition than BMI. This can be measured through various methods, such as skin fold measurements or more advanced techniques like DEXA scans. Knowing your body fat percentage gives you a clearer picture of your overall health as it distinguishes between fat and lean mass. Also, bioelectrical impedance analysis is a method that uses a small electrical current to estimate body composition, including the percentages of fat, muscle, and water. So it's relatively easy and non-invasive, making this a very practical option for a routine health assessment. And finally, some experts have been advocating for a more holistic approach, considering metabolic health markers such as blood pressure, cholesterol levels, blood sugar levels, and inflammation markers. So these measures, when combined with body composition assessments, can provide a more comprehensive understanding of an individual's health than BMI. So, where does that leave us with BMI? Well, it's important to recognize that while BMI can be a useful tool for quickly assessing health risks across large populations, it's not the be-all and end-all for individual health assessment. It's a starting point, not the final word. If your BMI suggests you might be at risk, it's worth digging a little deeper, looking at your waist circumference, your body fat percentage, and your metabolic health. And as we all are aware, health is multifaceted, and no single measure can capture it all. It's about the big picture, how your body composition, lifestyle, and overall health markers interact. So the next time you hear someone talking about their BMI, remember that it's just one piece of the puzzle. In conclusion of today's episode, I talked about the history of BMI and where it was developed. I talked about some of the issues in using BMI as a health indicator, and then I went through some examples of some alternate measures we can use in collaboration with BMI, and in some cases to replace BMI to evaluate our health. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode today, and I hope you have a great week ahead.